Mark Stellingworth. I'm here again for Brigadoon Radio. Brigadoon is the place where entrepreneurs and thought leaders gather to discuss emerging issues shaping commerce and culture. Today I have with me Mike St. Clair, who is, God, how many times have you been to Brigadoon?
This is number 4.
Number 4, wow. So Mike is the owner of Capital Edge Government Relations over in Iowa, but what specifically?
I live in Ankeny, but we all say Des Moines area because everybody kind of knows Des Moines since it's the capital.
Okay. So we were talking a little bit before we started rolling that you are pretty interested in Brigadoon, but you've had some kind of epiphanies early on. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've always, ever since Mark came to me with the concept, before Brigadoon became a thing, I was always bought in. I finally got a few years ago to a point where I made it work in my schedule, and I felt like I needed to make it happen for me, and have been coming back since. But ultimately, I felt a transformation at some point. The first year, I found myself taking notes on the presentations and what was being said in the presentations. But as I morphed into my second year, somewhere there, I started to make a shift, and by third year, it was all about writing down ideas that I had as a result of the presentations I was hearing. I still took a few notes on the presentation itself, but more I was writing down ideas, thoughts that I had that were born out of that I thought I could help myself grow or my business grow as a result of that. And so I felt that was kind of an aha moment for me where it really transformed how I experienced Brigadoon.
Now, you did a whiteboard session 2 years ago. Was it 2
Last
years?
year.
Last year, right. And it was on how the Iowa caucuses work. And so you're politically involved. You're on the Republican side. I'm sure you're planning on caucusing this year, but you told me it was going to take, about 20 minutes?
Yeah, the Republican side, we won't have much to talk about. Even if there's a challenger to Trump, it won't. I don't think it'll be a significant part of the process in Iowa. So we'll still do the other things that we do at our caucus meeting, where we take care of the platform planks and some of those kinds of business things of the party. But we won't have the excitement that surrounds the straw poll that takes place when you have an open spot on your side to nominate that new person.
So have you, as at this particular juncture, have you seen any speaker today or yesterday that was, really stood out to you? Was there any great moment for you already? Or
I expected to come here and be inspired. I expected to come here and learn some things and to get some new ideas. I did not expect to cry. And this morning during Kelsey's presentation, I got really choked up, and I was surprised at that. And she was hilarious and moving and all those things at the same time. But I lost my father 2 years ago, and so her story of her loss hit home for me in a different way than it would have a few years ago. But yeah, I didn't expect to have that kind of an emotional reaction.
Well, you bring up a good point. I think Kelsey's talk is very similar to some other talks that we've had in the past, and the greatest talks are really where the speaker reveals some vulnerability. And that kind of, when you couple a great talk and a great subject with the emotional vulnerability that she had, it's just, there wasn't a dry eye in the house for that.
Yeah, and another one that comes to mind in that same vein was listening to Ada Paula 3 years ago.
Yes.
And I told her this morning, I said, of all the different speakers, in terms of me personally, like your personal stuff and how you try to be a better person and how you conduct your life generally, hers is as meaningful as any I've heard here at Brigadoon. And right down to, and I guess one of the things that makes it stick with me too, one of the things that she said that was a takeaway for me is to stop letting social pressures make you do stuff that you really don't enjoy doing. At which point I decided I would no longer ski when I was at Sundance, because it just wasn't my thing, and I was trying to make it my thing, but it wasn't my thing. So I appreciated that, and there were other nuggets in there as well, but sometimes those kinds of things stick in your head a little bit.
Tell us a little bit about Capital Edge.
Capital Edge is a government relations firm. We do government affairs and lobbying, basically, in Iowa. We have about 17 clients right now, and my 18-year business partner just retired at the end of the year, so I'm going through some transition that way. That made some of the entrepreneurial talk earlier this morning, and some of the ways that you look at those arrangements was particularly meaningful for me. I had some of the bad experiences that were referenced in that conversation, and had been having some of the thoughts, and it helped reinforce the thoughts I was having about where I go from here. So we do all kinds of things to advocate for our clients, what they want or don't want in legislation, and how to work those things out. And sometimes that's with legislators, sometimes it's with the regulator, sometimes it's the governor's office. It just depends. But we try to be intentional about building relationships with folks so we can always have the conversation we need to have our voice heard.
Oh, nice. So Any particular media that you want to recommend to our viewers out there? Books, television shows, music?
You know, I love reading all kinds of things, particularly mysteries. And so the mystery show that I'm into right now is True Detective. I've enjoyed all 3 seasons of that, although I would say season 3 has been harder to love on the front end. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, but I think that's part of the part of what it enamors me as well is that it is a little hard to figure out. So that's the thing I've been watching that I enjoy, and I've been listening to more podcasts. Mark has actually recommended several, and I've been trying to get more educated using podcasts. Were never a thing I did, and so I started doing that a bit more.
So I liked season 1 of True Detective. Season 2 I was kind of plus or minus on, and I'm waiting for like season 3 to complete so I can like binge watch it. Like so that's my plan, is to like get that and just like watch it.
You're not wrong to do it that way. I don't think. I think season 1 was so good. It's like a sequel to any movie, right? The original is always good because it's new. You had no idea what was coming. It's all new to you. When you have a sequel, there's an expectation that you carry, whether it's right or wrong or fair or not. And that's just it. I think I tried to set aside that expectation, and once I did, I enjoyed season 2 more than when I kind of held on to that expectation. So for whatever that's worth, I felt much the same way, but I got over it, I guess.
Well, Mike, thank you for taking the time, and you are one of my favorite people over here at Brigadoon, and we love that you come here, and we love your passion. So,
my pleasure. Thank you.